hope that, oh, I have to make sure. Apparently I have a filter on that one and we do not want that. I always forget where to do this. That one. Effects, maybe. None. Hello. All right, I'm just playing here on TikTok. I don't know how to. Okay, give me a second. I'm just going to restart so that. Maybe it's just my camera that's making that. Anyway. Hello. We're doing our celestial briefing today. I'm just giving it a second. My phone's broken, so it's just anyway, it looks like the screen's red. So just got my keyboard out of the way here so I can deal out some cards. We can do our energy check-in with the cards first, and then we'll see what happens after we start doing the celestial check-in. So today is the celestial check-in. We're going to check in with the living sky. That's according to like the true sky, what's going on outside. We're going to check and see what the energy is that's out there and how to work with it this week. Most astrology follows a system that, is 2,000 years old. I look at the living sky and determine the energies from that point, what we're looking at. And I have my very own Ethereal Tarot deck that I have right in front of me, and that's what we're going to do the reading with, and we'll see what the energy is for the collective today. For those that do celebrate, happy Easter. I do not celebrate any holidays like that. I've stepped out of those types of things. We have to know the truth, right? Depends on how much truth you want to know. All right, these cards are being picky. Maybe it's because I already did a reading today. Well, we're going to shuffle the way cards. So I have 45. I have an oracle deck as well that I created, and this oracle deck is 44 keys of the way. So let's see what these cards. They're giving some good ones. I'm enjoying these, the cards that have come out so far. So we'll see it. Okay, that one is clearly. This is really interesting. Well, one, because we've got two that kind of relate to the body in a way. So the first card that came out is the grounded step. So there's an affirmation that goes along with it. There is a remembrance, and then there is a practice. That's how these cards were designed. So the grounded step, the affirmation is, I move through life. What do you mean? What truth am I talking about? There's lots. But do you mean about Easter? About holidays? The truth about those things? All right. So we've got the, well, most of them have been hijacked, right? Most of them have distortions that are built into them. There's not a lot that's out there that is straight up, free of distortions, right? We know that that's what we were really, it's always a challenge of how far to go on my lives because I'm always worried about getting banned or something like that. That's why I save most of my conversations that go really, really deep for my groups on my website, because then nobody monitors me there. So I can say whatever I want to at that point. But on here, you're always worried. Like I've been talking about trauma on here and talking about, like my own history of self-harm, and got like a violent violation, a violation for speaking about violence. And I was like, I was talking about in the way to heal it and, stuff like that. So anyway, I'm always just hesitant to say certain things, which I have to stop doing. But you should see the post that I put out today about the divine races. And I'm looking for my tribe of rainbow race, which is what we really are, right? It's interesting because sometimes I'll just go, like I'll just be talking, and then all of a sudden I just start channeling stuff, and then I'm like, oh my God, I'm totally gonna get a ban. Like that's why I have two channels. I have my Anshara'El and then Sharia and Lorian, because Anshara'El had two warnings, and it was like, if you say something else, you could lose your account entirely. So I'm like, I better make a secondary account just in case. Like I have one channel that's called The Truth Will Set You Free, or One Truth Sets You Free is the actual name of the channel, but it's a podcast that's called The Truth Will Set You Free. And I did 40 episodes on it. I have the 41st one that I'm in the process of recording. So I put those out there, but that's different. I don't know why that's different. It's just when I'm on my lives, I'm always hesitant to say certain things for getting censored or silenced or whatever. Just keep the live going kind of thing. Alrighty. So most holidays have been hijacked. They've been distorted, and we're not actually, honoring the truth of the particular, like it was never about bunnies and Easter eggs and chocolate and stuff like that, right? That's the distortion that's built in. And when you look at the truth about it, it's much darker. And it seems to be the way with a lot of things, which is why I tend to just call like society's just inverted, right? Inverted clown world, inverted clown world. Hello. Okay, so we've got the first card that came out for the collective is the grounded step. So the affirmation is, I move through life with stability and awareness. The remembrance is, grounding converts insight into action. Without it, ideas remain abstract. Stability reduces reactivity and increases follow through, right? We're not meant to just keep learning without integrating things. And if you're having, you're peeling back, say, a layer of trauma, you don't keep peeling, right? You want to give it a moment and settle, right? You want to get yourself to a spot. Absolutely. Control, money, all of it. Just, we're really thought of as cattle, right? We're really thought of, when you look at what I like to call the predator class, they're not even necessarily human, right? And I mean, that's the kind of stuff I'm like, okay, is that more like my private channel stuff? Is that the stuff we talk about on the back end? Is that the stuff we talk about at Anshara'El instead of on here? But it's true. It's true. It'll come out. It's going to come out. Many of us that were dubbed conspiracy theorists were just seers. And it's not that we're psychic necessarily, although some do have like precognition or the ability to tap into specific timeline streams, which is all it is. But for many, it's just, pattern recognition, right? We were just able to see and be like, yeah, that makes sense. And the funny thing is one of the things I always go back to in nursing school, I was taught that when you're looking at research, right? Because I did my bachelor's. So university means that we had certain requirements. Anyway, part of it was that we had to learn to critically think. At least that's what we did back when I became a nurse. And that was over 25 years ago now. And we got taught to critically think. So one of the things that we got taught was to look at research articles, right? You wanted to know how big the study was, what type of study was it? Was it a double blind? All the conditions of the study. But the other thing that you always wanted to know was who was getting paid or who did it benefit? Because when you follow the money, then it all starts to make sense, right? And I had a conversation with a friend one time about the chemicals that are, you know, up there with the clouds. And this is me trying not to get censored, guys. And I said, like, what does it benefit someone like me to say that that's a truth, that they're chemicals? And I go, but what does it benefit the other people to say it's not? It's just condensation, right? So who benefits from that? And when you think about who benefits from the lie, then you know who benefits from the information being skewed in a certain way, right? If somebody's putting their neck out there, like I remember with 2020, with everything that was going on with the pandemic, right? I was a nurse. And, you know, when you were somebody that was speaking out against everything, or, you know, had opinions that weren't mainstream, they wanted you on the chopping block. They wanted to take away your license. They wanted to do all kinds of things to you, right? So many people got blacklisted or got shamed or their reputation destroyed. And now we're finding out all the information, right? Now we're finding out all the information and what it really is. And it's shameful. 11/11 on the time when I saw that, it's shame. It's, you know, and I don't use that word lightly because shame is a heavy emotion. And I hope that if you're ever having conversations with people, that you don't shame, like you don't put that out there very lightly. But when we're talking about all the people, you know, that were involved in this big deception, then, you know, shame on them. Shame on them. And there's been no apology. There's been, you know, there's nothing that's happened. But, you know, when you have corrupt, who in the corrupt is going to investigate the corrupt and try the corrupt and do any, you know, like it's just a cycle. So the only thing that we can do is gain our sovereignty back, keep ourselves calm when there's chaos, because it's the last thing that we need to do is feed into the system with our fear or with, you know, any of the other emotions that they're trying to get from us. Get in contact with your body, right? Because most of us were taught, you know, that the body's just the body. It's just whatever, right? We also got taught not so much about emotions and how to manage them. And a lot of us, because we didn't get taught emotional management or how to soothe ourselves, and a lot of us have trauma that we don't realize that we have, or we're not willing to work at. We're just like, whatever, another day. We all have our breaking point. For some of us, it just came sooner than others. And, you know, some of us had to hit rock bottom too. And our rock bottom just happened already. But many out there, they just living in a haze and not even realizing that, you know, they're not connected to their soul, or that, you know, it's not the way that you're actually supposed to live. You know, even all the things that have been distorted in society and so far off track of what we're supposed to be talking about today. But hey, you know what? Let's just roll with it. Right. But it's just so many things are out of alignment with how we're meant to live. And it is our job to determine what are the lies, what is the manipulation, and then do something to change it, and at least do something for ourselves. So if you can't impact the world, at least impact yourself, which will impact the world, because it is unity consciousness. We are all connected. We're all connected through the grid. And, you know, through that energy that is breathing life into all of us. So through that connection, when I heal myself, I raise my vibration, I raise my frequency. It raises the frequency of the entire area around me, which affects not just the people, but everybody else. How are you doing with that? It's tough, right? I hit rock bottom a long time ago, a few years back. This is when I said a long time ago, I felt like I was going way back, way back when. But quite a while ago I hit, and mine came with my health. My health just kept failing, and it was one thing after the other, until I had no choice but to sit down and deal with my trauma, because I couldn't outrun it anymore. And, that was a blessing. It was absolutely the most aligned thing that could have happened for me. Good. Yeah. When I went through what I experienced, when I did my healing, I found all these different tools and practices because, I started with the traditional method. Let's go get, see a doctor, go get your medications, go to your therapist, and, that's that. But I wasn't, I wasn't someone who liked the idea of having my brain like chemical soup and nothing was working. I had panic disorder, anxiety, depression, complex PTSD, FND, ADHD, like, they just slap every acronym they can on you. And for the most part, I had a lot of lifestyle issues. That was a huge part of it. I had trauma that I did not deal with, that I needed to deal with. I had a lack of emotional management, like the ability to soothe myself. I was never taught that. I didn't really understand what to do when emotions became overwhelming. And, so when you start to look at all the factors, because it's not just you had trauma, so, you need to go talk about your emotions. Your body stores the energy within it. And on top of the body storing it through all the energy fields, right? Your thoughts store, your mind takes some, your emotions take some, your body takes some, your spirit takes some. So there's all these different aspects that we have to do and think of ourselves as more of a holistic being. We're not just a body. We're not just a mind. We're a spirit as well. Yeah, that's beautiful. Bible Detective Club trivia. That sounds interesting. Bible Detective Club trivia. Nice. Very, very awesome. Very, very cool. And that's what ends up happening, I find, is that many people, when they start to peel back the layers of their traumas and they reveal the truth of who they are, and that allows them to align with their passions or their purpose. Because one of the parts of healing trauma is healing the part of us that seeks validation from everybody else, or to heal the part of us that is seeking externally for all of those things. And once you start to go within and you start to sit with yourself, then those things start to become more clear and we start to move in the right direction, right? After I did my healing journey and, with all of the trauma that I had, all of the things that I learned, I was just like, oh my God, I want to help other people because there is relief. There is a way through. You don't have to talk till you're blue in the face, and you don't have to go to therapy for 30 years. You can actually heal. And so, mainstream doesn't really like that. So they try to silence anyone that's talking about that stuff, right? You wouldn't want to say the CURE word because holy moly, they'd probably come after you with legal action, right? And, I had a whole lot of diagnoses at one time, and I have a clean bill of health. I take no medications. I live in peace and solitude. Literally, I'm on 40 acres with my dog. I haven't seen anybody. Well, I did. I saw a lady the other day. Oh, that's beautiful. That's the best part, is when you fall in love with yourself. Like it's beautiful when you just walk by the mirror and you look at yourself and you're like, I love you, because you just do. It's just pouring from you. And that's, that's such freedom from where I used to be, where I was, always in relationship. And when I was in relationship, like that person was on a pedestal, and, I worked so much and worked so hard, I was an overachiever for sure. It was crazy. When I tell everybody like my, all the things that I've done in my life, it's just like, what, how, right? And it's just because I just kept go. And it's nice now to work in a combination of that flow and structure. Like there still has to be structure. It can't be all flow. There has to be some things that you actually set and say, I'm going to do every day. And yeah, through the whole process, you awaken more and more, you awaken more to your gifts, you get more sensitive with energy, which is what I believe is how you're really opening up your gifts, right? As you clear the clutter, clear the noise, and you start to be able to sit in silence and stillness, that's when you start to hear things like your guides. It was funny, like it's, yeah, Yeah, it's absolutely. And most people, they think, oh, there's just going to be one quick little thing. Everybody wants the quick fix. They want to talk to somebody and have them just go switch and be like, oh gosh, everything lit up just perfectly. Yeah, wow, I'm like so clairvoyant and da 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 da, like just be bam. But what they don't realize is it's the practice that opens you up. It's actually sitting there in the silence, sitting there in the stillness. It's actually listening beyond your ears to hear, right? And so if you want to get it, you have to do the work. You actually have to do the practical stuff, right? Very few people were blessed to be woke up immediately. And, like when I think about even somebody like Lee Harris, right? And I've heard his story numerous times and, think that he's a fantastic channeler. He wasn't awake when he was a child, right? He was a little bit. He was in connection with the Z's that he channels. He was in connection with them up until he was about 6 when he lost that connection. But like through most of his life, he was just a normal person until he was about 23. I think it was 22 or 23 in his early 20s when the Z's actually broke through again and were able to connect to him. Right? That's fantastic. But for most people, you're going to be sitting down and doing the work. You're going to be sitting in meditation or in stillness or in silence, right? It's just like the person that wants to, move things with their hands. You can't do it if you don't practice it, and you have to keep practicing it. Hello, love. How are you? Thank you for joining me on Facebook. So yeah, like you have to sit down and do it, right? It's the same thing as running a marathon. If you want to run a marathon, you better lace up your running shoes. You better start walking, and then you better start increasing the distance that you're running. You better start looking at your diet because it's not just one thing, right? Like you better look at your mindset because part of running a marathon is all about your drive, your ability to drive through. So yeah, there's a lot to consider with that. Hello, love. How's your evening going? And happy Easter. For anyone that celebrates, there you go. I don't, but I'm passing along blessings or, happy Easters to those that do. Me too. Completely changed my diet. I do not eat anything takeout. I don't drink pop. I drink water and tea. I think I have a white tea right now. I stopped eating meat for the most part. And if I do, I have to know the butcher that I'm getting it from. I know everything about it because I'm not, I don't trust the food supply at all. And you shouldn't. Like we know what they're doing to it. Yeah. It's, gosh, gross. All right. So we had our first card, which was the grounding card. All right. So this is a little practice, and I actually suggest that you do it. I did it the other day and it was absolute. And I've done it several times, but the other day, for some reason, it just really hit home a lot more. And what you do is you just sit and you feel your feet for a minute. So before you the first thing you're doing is just feeling your feet. And then you're going to walk 10 slow steps, paying attention to your feet contacting the floor, and see how that feels for you. It's a really cool little practice. So the other card that came out is the sacred body. So the affirmation is, my body is a sacred vessel of consciousness, right? It's your temple of light. That's what my free group on my website's called, is Temple of Light, because this is our, we're meant to marry our spirit with our body and walk heaven onto earth. It's what we're meant to do. So sacred body, the affirmation, the remembrance. The body is where truth becomes lived. Ignoring it weakens alignment. Listening strengthens it. Sensation is information, not inconvenience. Care of the body supports clarity of the mind. Powerful. So slow stretch for 3 minutes is what the activity is. Thank one body part and drink water consciously. And then the last card that came out from the Wade deck is the expanding awareness card. My awareness continues to expand is the affirmation. The remembrance is, awareness increases with attention and inquiry. Exposure to new inputs broadens perspectives. Integration stabilizes it. Your practice is to learn one new concept, to summarize it in 3 sentences, and to apply one piece in your daily life. So there's your way cards. The way. And we'll see, maybe now that we've been doing this for a bit, we'll actually get a message from the Etherian Tarot for the collective. And then we'll check in on the celestial alignment, see what we're looking at. Ooh, that flew out. All right, what else does the collective need to hear before we get into the alignments? All right, we got the 4 of ether and we got the 8 of fire. So the 8 of fire came out first. The 8 of fire is acceleration and breakthrough. Fire is fast. So this is fast moving energy, swift decisions, breakthroughs, sudden opportunities, and divine timing. I like that coming out. And the 8 of fire reminds you that once the path is clear, things can shift in an instant. Be ready, stay open, and allow the momentum to carry you forward to your highest timeline. Taking that. And the 4 of ether. So the 4 of ether is integration, reflection, and divine restructuring. Reflection, divine pause, energetic recalibration, spiritual integration, and allowing for divine timing. We got it. We got the divine timing. The 4 of ether is a call to embrace stillness, reflection, and deep energetic restructuring. You are being guided to allow divine intelligence to settle within you, reshaping your reality from the inside out. In this sacred pause, you are being prepared for the next level of your ascension. Ooh, I like that. That's nice. That's very nice. Oh, and you know what? Bottom of the deck, we've got the King of Ether. So we'll take the King of Ether as well from the bottom of the deck. And so the King of Ether is the divine sovereign, upright, supreme mastery, divine leadership, cosmic sovereignty, profound spiritual authority, and infinite wisdom. The King of Ether stands as the supreme guardian of divine truth and limitless expansion. He is here to remind you that your potential is boundless and you are meant to shape reality in alignment with the highest light. They're my very own deck. I drew all the pictures, wrote the whole book, and I'm just getting ready to publish them at some point. I'm looking at getting them professionally printed, and then I'm going to make them available. But that's awesome. I'm so glad that they resonated with you, Tracy. Very, very cool. All right, let's check in with our alignment. I have to access my notes, so I'm going to move my comments over to the other side so that I can see them. All righty. So let's talk about the celestial alignment. And one of the things that I wanted to do first is just check in for a moment, right? Because right now, I think that there's a lot of energy that's kind of pushing that right now should be like really big. And maybe it's because there's people like Chris Bledsoe who had some predictions, maybe it's because it's Easter, resurrection, all kinds of stuff. And maybe that's giving the feeling that something should be shifting very dramatically right now. But it's not. Instead, it feels very quiet. At least that's the energy that I'm aligned with as well, as I feel that it's just very quiet. And maybe that's allowing things to be clearer, which may not be very dramatic. And we don't want that anyway. We would rather have accuracy. So this is not a moment where everything just suddenly changes. It's the moment after something has shifted and you are just starting to see it. It's just the beginning. That's where we're at. So the celestial roll call is we have our sun in Pisces. Mercury is still retrograde in Aquarius until the 13th. Then we have Mars in Pisces, Venus in Aries, Mars in Pisces. We have Jupiter in Gemini, Saturn in Pisces, Uranus is in Taurus, Neptune is in Pisces, and Pluto is in Capricorn. And this week, right now we have the moon in Libra. It's going to move into Scorpio, and Scorpio and Ophiuchus are one of the smaller signs. So it's going to transition through Scorpio, Ophiuchus, Sagittarius, Capricorn, and then hit Aquarius just at the very end of like next Sunday. So when we do our celestial check-in on the 12th, it's going to be in Aquarius already. So that's quite a lot of transitions through in 1 week with the moon. So that's a lot of energy. So let me see, where did I lose my note? So what just happened is that something already shifted. We went through all the solar and lunar eclipse. Then we went through equinox. And, and now we're approaching Aries season. Aries season actually begins on the 18th. We have the new moon in Pisces again. So it's a double new moon in Pisces because it's a late stage. It was early stage and now late stage Pisces. And then the next day, boom, Aries season. And the way that everything's transitioned with the energies and what we're feeling, and this is collectively as well. It's not just my energy, it's the energy of everybody that as we're evolving, this is what we're going through. And there's cycles, right? And it's, it cycles for the planet, it cycles for us. And if we work with the energies, then we cycle up. If we don't work with the energies, maybe we cycle down, right? Like, especially if we're fighting against it. So Pisces season, I think that everybody kind of expected that once it hit equinox, that we were going to be in spring and it was going to have this big surge of energy and it was just forward motion. But for those of us that are tapped into the true energy, we didn't feel that surge. We just had that Pisces energy, which is, it doesn't force clarity. It just dissolves what isn't working until what is real just becomes more obvious. And that can feel very, very uncomfortable, but it's, especially if you're trying to rush forward, right? If you're trying to rush forward and that feeling is just asking you to just wait, we're dissolving stuff. We're getting rid of the stuff that's not in alignment. So the better question right now is to be looking at what is already clear that you haven't fully acknowledged yet, right? What is something that you really need to be honest with yourself with? It's clear you're not ready to the word's escaping me. You're not really ready to stand on it, right? But you need to be. All right. So every live, I like to do a teaching stream, the teaching. Well, sorry, no, I'm not going to do that yet. I'll wait. I'll do the teaching stream later. We'll talk about the moon first. We'll get through the moon. So with the moon moving through, what we're going to have right now, today is Libra energy. So we're trying to find balance, maybe looking at harmony within relationships. Then we're going to move tomorrow into Scorpio, and Scorpio is going to tell us what the truth is, right? Scorpio is all about revealing the truth. Ophiuchus is the rebirth. So this is all about integrating and recalibrating. Then we're going to hit, and Sagittarius lasts for a couple of days. And then we hit Capricorn for a couple of days, which is telling us to ground that direction. Capricorn is about legacy, right? That's big daddy energy. He's like, great, we've got the direction. Thank you, Sagittarius. Like we've been reborn after, that big, with Scorpio energy, we're reborn through Ophiuchus. We know the truth, the direction that we want to go in. And Capricorn comes in and says, all right, now let's make this for the next generation, like for our kids. And then Aquarius comes in and says, wait a second, let's step back and look at the big picture. How can we make this for humanity? So this is the energy that we're going to go through this week. And even though when we get to the Aquarius energy, you may be not looking at the stuff in your particular life as, how does this apply to humanity on a grand scale like that? But you will be at least stepping back and looking at the bigger picture. And it's not random. We go through these cycles all the time as we move through the moon when we cycle back through. And this is just that full movement that we're going through. Oh, hang on. I'm getting an invite. We don't want an invite. We don't want an invite. We don't want an invite. So if you skip the steps, then you're going to feel it. You're going to feel that you didn't process through the energy, or you didn't acknowledge the truth when Scorpio revealed it to you. And I'm just going to ignore that. And well, then you get to repeat that cycle again. And that pattern's going to keep repeating until you address it and move forward in the way that's aligned with you. All right, so our teaching stream, or the teaching stream that I wanted to do today, is about why people repeat the same cycles. And well, I've been there and done that, right? We're still seeing it. And I have the perfect examples of this. I have two, I even have a shell. I have three. So the top of this shell is a perfect example of how we're meant to evolve and spiral. And yes, we will repeatedly see things as we, as we go through it. You may have done something. I don't know. I'll use a silly example. Let's say every time somebody says one particular phrase to you, you get so angry that you slap somebody. That's the pattern of behavior that you have. So, and when you do that, you get in trouble so that's going to keep spiraling until you learn to do something different. Address what that phrase is, why it causes that reaction in you, where's the root cause of that, and then move beyond it. You'll see that pattern again. Somebody who thinks that they're not deserving or not worthy and has financial struggles, they can spiral in that financial struggle until they learn their worth. As another example. So the pattern keeps showing up as an opportunity for you to move beyond it, right? To elevate to a higher space. I just wanted to show the other two that I had with the rock fossils. So we're meant to spiral upwards, right? Not circle and go round and round and round, right? So people don't repeat the cycles because they're stuck necessarily. They repeat cycles because they move on too quickly. They don't maybe necessarily understand exactly what happened, and they don't get to the root cause. They don't go inside to determine, like, why is this showing up for me, right? That can be a really great answer to investigate, right? Why does this keep showing up for me? And you can keep asking that question, why does this keep happening for me? Well, because you get really upset when somebody says that phrase. Why do I get upset when somebody says that phrase? Well, because when you were, and you keep going and going and going until you get to the actual answer at the bottom of it. The other reason why people repeat cycles is because they don't embody the truth, right? They go and get say help. They'll come say to me, and I'll give you return to center, 10-day self-paced course. I have it at my site right now, so I'm going to talk about it. 10-day course that literally helps you to return to center. There's probably 20 different practices minimum in it. There's, one practice is internal listening. There's integration questions, reflection questions. There's, like all of it in the guide. There's 10 videos, and each video is less than a half an hour long. So if I give that to somebody and they watch it, but they don't actually do the practices, or they don't implement it into their lives going forward, then it's just information, and you can burn it if you want. Like, if you're not going to live it, then it's not going to change anything. And that's oftentimes so between those two things, they're not implementing the truth, right? If you found out that your favorite restaurant was feeding you dog meat, and that was something that you were just opposed to eating, then you stop eating at the restaurant. You don't keep eating at the restaurant knowing that you're eating that while lying to yourself and saying, well, maybe it's not true, right? Maybe the golden arches aren't really, maybe their number one ingredient really isn't the people. I'll just lie to myself and tell myself that, and I'll keep going and getting my Happy Meals, right? Maybe that's what I can do. But if you know the truth and you continue to do the things that's out of alignment with that, then you're consenting to that. Remember that, you're actually saying, I'm okay with whatever. So in the case of dog being put in, say, a food, and that, then you're consenting to eat it when you know that knowledge, and don't change your behavior. So if you're not delving into the depths of why that pattern keeps showing up, so that you understand the root cause of it, so you can heal and move beyond it, and if you're not implementing the actual things that you need to do to move beyond it, it's the same thing with the marathon runner. If the person that wants to run a marathon laces up their shoes and they go for a couple of walks, and maybe they get to the point where they can run 1K and then they stop, they need to understand why they want to do it. And they also want to understand why they stopped doing it, because there could be something in a fear of success, or fear of failure, and thinking that, so I'll just quit. Then I didn't fail. I just quit. All right. So, when you have your awareness, right, when you take awareness and you apply it to the situation and you delve into that, when you recognize the pattern, then you stop reacting to it the same way. And that's when things really begin to shift, because mostly it's the reaction that you do, right? It's the consistent reaction. If every time that you have a conversation and say you're stressed out, does not matter, but you're stressed out to the max. And I've been there, right? Where you're just, life seems to be hitting you from every angle and you're stressed out. So your elevator, I like to call your nervous system an elevator, and it's sitting at the penthouse suite. So anything that happens is going to set you off. Like, you're going to blow your top because you're not doing anything to bring your elevator down, to deal with what the stressors are. And sometimes it's a matter of, you might have had your elevator way down, but then one thing so fast that just boom, next thing you know, you're blowing your top. And when you're doing that, when you're blowing your top, right, then you're not in control. And if you consistently do that every time that you get stressed out, and then you're in a conversation with somebody and you disregard them or devalue them or insult them or run up them and one down the other, then, that's the pattern that you're having, right? That you need to address. Why is it that when I get stressed out, I do these things, and what can I do about my stress levels? Like, it's 2 points, right? So how can I fix these things? All right. So we have Venus in Aries right now, which is very clear, right? So Venus is your desires, and that is very, very clear. What you want is direct. You can feel it. Mars in Pisces is not moving at the same speed, though. It's still processing. Pisces is a way different speed than Aries. So there's this gap between your desires and the action, and the action's just slower right now. So if you try to close that gap too quickly, you're going to create confusion. Mercury in Aquarius, and it's still retrograde, is still helping you to step back and think clearly. And it's really asking you to review things. And I don't know about you guys, but my brain, I've been reviewing a lot lately, right? Going through and just thinking about conversations and stuff, and, really getting clear with my role and what I want and where I want to be and all of that. So we have Jupiter in Gemini as well. And with Jupiter in Gemini, it's expanding the perspective through information and conversation. So if you feel like you're really reaching out to people to converse, there could be that underlying factor of that Jupiter in Gemini, that you're trying to expand your perspective, and you're doing that through having conversations. So this is not a moment to rush. This is a moment to understand. So embodiment practice. I love to do an embodiment practice on every single live. I think that it's important that we have a whole toolbox full of embodiment practices. Some of the embodiment practice that I share will be somatic or breath work, and some of them are journal prompts, because if we delve into our inner psyche and we go inside, or we understand the truth or why we're doing things, that can really, really help things move along for us. So you can take a moment to get a pen and a pencil, I guess, or you can just listen as I'm speaking, or pause it right here, I guess would be what I was going to say. But I'm like, if it's live, you can't pause it. But just before you start, just take a breath, right? Maybe nice couple, 2 or 3 breaths, nice and slow and deep. And just look at your life for a minute and ask yourself, what has shifted recently? Not what you think should have shifted, but what actually has shifted. And then the next question, what are you still processing? And the final question is, and what is starting to come into view again? And this isn't about taking action on it. It's just about you understanding it so that you can just see things more clearly and see yourself more clearly, see your life more clearly. Okay, so connect with yourself, take that moment to give those couple of breaths, look at your life, what has shifted recently, not what you think should have, what actually has, What are you still processing? And what is starting to come into view again? Okay, just to be informed with those things, not to actually do something with them. Alrighty, so if you're starting to notice these patterns and you want to understand them without constantly second guessing yourself, you're welcome inside the Temple of Light. That's where we continue this work in a way that is steady and grounded. Nothing is asking you to rush right now, but things are asking you to be honest with yourself about what you're seeing, because that's where direction actually comes from. Okay, where clarity deepens, direction becomes visible. Continue walking the sky with awareness. And we'll be back to check in on the celestial briefing, or on the walking with the sky, the living sky. That's what we do on Sundays. We'll be back here to do that next Sunday. Next time that I'm live will be on Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. Mountain. And we will be doing embodied wisdom. So this is all about living the way, right? The way that we were intended to live. So we talk about all kinds of different topics there. I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to base the conversation on about this Wednesday, but we'll see. You never know what you're going to learn. All right. I love you guys. Go check out Anshara'El. And hello, Diamond Girl. Good to see you. Go check out Anshara'El and join the free group, because you know why? It's free. And that's cool. Free is always good. All right. Love you guys. Have a great day. Thank you for hanging out with me.